Literacy is everywhere. We use it every day and can no longer function properly in society without being at least somewhat literate. Of course, it is important to remember that the definition of the word literacy has changed significantly throughout history. Before the Civil War, individuals only needed to be able to read and write their own name. Around World War II, the ability to read at the fourth grade reading level made someone literate. When the 1960s rolled around, being able to complete the eighth grade was the measure of literacy. In the 1990s, the definition of literacy became more complex. In 1991, the National Literacy Act defined literacy as an individual's ability to read, write, and speak in English, and compute and solve problems necessary to function on the job and in society, to achieve one's goals, and to develop one's knowledge and potential. That is a pretty comprehensive definition. But the question is, how do we define literacy now in the 21st century? The definition that I think does one of the best jobs adjusting for the rapidly changing 21st century comes from the NCTE, which is the National Conference of Teachers of English. The NCTE defines literacy as being able to develop proficiency and fluency with the tools of technology, build intentional cross-cultural connections and relationship with others so to pose and solve problems collaboratively and strengthen independent thought, design and share information for global communities to meet a variety of purposes, manage, analyze, and synthesize multiple streams of simultaneous information, create, critique, analyze, and evaluate multimedia texts, and attend to the ethical responsibilities required by these complex environments. Obviously, in the modern world, these are skills that are important for people to learn, but as future educators, what about our specific discipline? All academic disciplines have their own essential literacy skills required for success. For the sake of this project, my discipline is social studies, and the necessary literacy skills for this specific discipline are critical thinking, the ability to use multimodal texts, making claims/being able to develop a thesis, the ability to provide evidence to support a claim, to be able to summarize your own and other texts, and the ability to present arguments orally, or the ability to debate. The need for disciplinary literacy instruction stems from the inability for general literacy skills to transfer from discipline to discipline. We have already established that each discipline has its own necessary literacy skills. It is the responsibility of each teacher to teach students these discipline-specific skills. Of course, academic knowledge gaps are harmful to the ability to read discipline-specific texts. Students who come to an 11th grade U.S. history class at a 6th grade reading level will have an extremely difficult time being successful in this class. It is for this very reason that general literacy skills are necessary to be able to move on into more discipline-specific literacy. In fact, general literacy skills can and should be modified to meet the demands of readers and writers of disciplinary contexts. An example of a simple general literacy skill that easily can be modified to any discipline is annotating a text. In history, when annotating a text, it is important to identify the author's thesis or claim. Take note of the different types of evidence the author uses to support the claim, as well as the validity of that evidence. I personally like to pretend that I am having a conversation with the author while reading and annotating. Of course, in other disciplines, readers will need to search for different types of information and will need to use different discipline-specific skills. The difference between what I used to know about literacy and what I know now is incredible. If someone had asked me 3 months ago to tell them what it meant to be literate, I would have said to have the ability to read and write. As you can see, the way that I used to think about literacy was quite dated and simple. I also used to think that literacy was a term that was bound to ELA or English classes. If someone had told me that as a social studies teacher I would be teaching literacy, I would have thought that they were lying or were crazy. Looking back at my literacy selfies, the most shocking thing that I learned was how I actually used literacy outside of the world of higher education. My picture started off mostly with me reading books and writing papers, but eventually I learned that my lifestyle outside of academics demanded almost as many literacy skills as schoolwork. The ability to properly read nutritional facts is a literacy skill that anyone can utilize to be healthy. As a weightlifter, trainer, and fighter, having the knowledge to control weight loss or gains is a necessary skill. So as future educators, what does literacy have to do with us? We need to become more than just content area teachers. So of course it is fair to say that most teachers teach discipline-specific literacy on a consistent basis. It is now necessary to take this information and structure lessons in ways that focus on developing literacy skills. Having students consistently practicing their general literacy skills as well as teaching new discipline-specific literacy skills is the most effective way to help them become better speakers, readers, and writers. This new learning is important to me because it impacts not only my future career as a teacher, but my everyday life as well. This kind of higher level understanding of literacy can only improve my ability to teach my content area. Outside of academics, this kind of information can also help me grow and reach my full potential no matter what the challenge is. My goal as a social studies teacher is more than just teaching kids a bunch of facts that they more than likely will never need to actually know. My job as a teacher is to teach skills that students can use to help them solve problems, get a job, participate in government, think critically, and most importantly, become upstanding citizens. I mean, those are just a few examples. Anyone who has ever taught before knows that the actual list is much, much longer. As a learner, this new knowledge opens up doors. Oftentimes, I would consider myself bad at a certain subject, like math, for example. I have always struggled to learn math from a textbook, which made the process of learning much more difficult than it needed to be. Knowing that I have just been using the wrong literacy skills the whole time is a game changer and can be for any student. Thinking that you are not capable or just too dumb is a lot different than just knowing that all you need to do is learn the proper skills for that specific discipline. To support adolescents' literacy development, we as educators need to provide students with consistent practice of these skills. General literacy skills need to be learned and then adapted by all teachers to fit into the different disciplines. These discipline-specific skills will help students develop into intellectuals who will one day be able to solve problems on their own and be successful members of society.